So thank you all. This is the meeting of the Administrative Committee of the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District. And it is December 6th, a little after 2 o'clock, and all committee members are present. So I'm calling this meeting to order. This is the time. Are there any members of the public on the call? Sarah?
Yes, I see, aside from Director Edwards, I see one member of the public to by phone.
Oh, yeah, so now I see three members of the public. So this is a time in the committee meeting when if the public wants to address the committee on any item within the committee's jurisdiction that is not listed on the agenda, please raise your hand.
Alternatively, the persons that are calling in may push *9 to raise their hand. I see no raised hands, Director Paul.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, we can go to our action items. And the first one is the minutes from our last meeting. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes? Director Anderson, Director Malik?
I don't have any.
Okay, I don't either. Director Malik?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
A second.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Anderson,
Yes,
Director Malik,
Yes,
Director Paul.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Item 2. Contract with Montgomery and Associates for groundwater modeling. Which one of you is going to address this? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. We did that already.
that's
Excuse me.
fine.
Excuse me. We did. Digital meter for surface water monitoring is our next item. John?
Right, so either one of those would be mine, but yes, the digital meter for the surface water program, the district has had the surface water program that was established as stated in the staff note in about the 1990s when the district was staffing up in regards to the allocation EIR and the monitoring and establishing the surface water network. Some of the network was started in the 80s, but we've been maintaining it primarily. Greg James had maintained it for the last 30 years as almost a sole employee on it. And as the committee is aware, Greg James has tendered his resignation. And so we have moved on and hired a new staffer. His name is Corey Steinmetz, and he comes to us from the USGS surface water monitoring out of their field office out of Santa Cruz. So he moved back here, and in speaking with him and working with him, we are now understanding the new USGS standards and the tools that the USGS is using nowadays. And so we're just updating our program with his help to be using the tools that are standard that the USGS uses. And that is this type of field digital meter where what was done analog and written down in field books is now taking advantage of the computation advances since the analog methods were brought along. And so that these meters use magnetic signal and they have no moving parts, and you measure in the same, you do the same physical measurements, but they log completely all your field measurements and they calculate your flows, and then they sync right with your database. So it actually saves man hours as well in the field, and reduces any potential for transcription errors and copying data and physical. So it's an advancement that I think the district can benefit from. And it's something that we plan, because they are slightly expensive, we plan on buying one with this budget and then budgeting for another one and just trying to keep two in stock. So we have one on the shelf in case we were to have trouble with one of them. So that's why it's in front of you.
Well, it sounds like it would be really helpful and improve our information a lot. It sounds like we also have acquired some good human resources with the new person from Geological Survey. I have just one question, and that who would install the new equipment and who would maintain it? Is it in-house or do we go outside?
It would be in-house, and it's actually not a physical meter as you would picture one on a pipe. There's the way that stream flow is measured is you have what's called a wading rod that you take into the stream, you set on the bottom of the stream bed, and then you measure the linear velocity of the flow in the stream, and you measure it at 0.6 depth of the actual column, because that when you do the math, that's the average velocity is at 0.6 depth. So when you previously you would have an analog meter that had a series of cups that would spin in a clockwise manner, and they would make a sound and the operator wears a set of headphones and it makes a sound every time it spins. So the operator would count how many times it spins in 40 seconds. This meter is it just mounts, instead of the meter with the spinning cups, it mounts right on the same wading rod. And it just, you go and you set your depth and you just push a button and it does all of the counting and measuring of velocities for you. So it's made specifically to integrate with the other pieces. It's just to replace the analog spinning meter on the wading rod.
Okay, I just wondering if we, is it going to be a cost for maintenance and upkeep, or if it's insignificant, then I just want to know that, that's all.
Yeah, they're supposed to be pretty robust and field ready. They're completely waterproof. There's no moving pieces to them, and it does come with a 1-year warranty. And so I think that it would from my understanding of talking with our new employee, his name is Corey Steinmetz, that they're pretty robust and don't need a lot of maintenance.
Good, thank you. But Director Anderson.
So this is completely portable. I mean, you can take it to many locations.
Right. It would follow the field personnel. They would keep it
Yeah.
in their trucks and it would be used. The district has probably 17 active gauging stations right now, and it would be used at all of them. It does not work in the high flow measurements. We still have to use the analog equipment in the high flow measurements, but it does work for the vast majority of the time when we have lower flow velocities and can get into the streams.
And so the wish to have a second one next year is just so you can have other personnel collecting this information and not just one person.
That's correct. With the kind of reorganization that the couple of items that have come before the board in the past, where we've been reclassing positions, we are setting the division up so that you can have a crew measuring the main stem and have another person out measuring the high flow and the tributaries in order to try to populate the database with some higher flow measurements. Where in the past we would have to choose between measuring the main stem or focusing on the tributaries during storms.
Okay, thank you.
Director Malik, did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Well, I move that we recommend to the board that to approve this purchase. Have a second?
I do.
Thank you. Any comments? Any comments from the public on this item?
Sounds cool.
I see no raised hands, Director Paul.
Thank you. Can we do a roll call vote, please?
Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Malik,
Yes.
Director Paul.
Yes,
Motion passes 3-0.
thank you. And now we have the treasurer's report, I believe. Treasurer's
we do.
report for October.
Yes, we do, directors. So this is the treasurer's report for the month of October. During the month, we wrote checks in the amount of little exceeding over $1.3 million. Of that, $45,524 were issued for conservation rebate checks. Exhibit 3A on page 13 of the packet. As you can see, we started the month with $16.2 million and we finished the month a little over $16 million, 16.094. As I had mentioned in my last month's comment, July through November is pretty much the spend mode because we do not get the water supply charge and the property tax revenue until December. So the only revenues we get are user fee and permit fee and connection charge. But the spending is actually kind of like flat out throughout the year. So every month we still spend the money, but not getting the revenue side until we get to December, where we get about 60% of both those revenues. So you'll see our balance decline from July through November, and then in December you'll see a big spike going up on the balance itself. So we've categorized the different accounts with different balances in here. And then we also, for reporting purposes, just report on the Pebble Beach Reclamation Money Market account. And then Exhibit 3B, 3C are the check register for both the payroll and the normal checks. And then Exhibit 3D is the unaudited financial statements for the month of October. With that, if there's any questions.
I have one, Suresh, and that is about the rebate checks. I noticed there were three checks that were over $1,000, and a couple of them, like the largest one was for over $17,000. So can you just tell us what explains those three larger ones?
Yeah, I see those three larger ones. One was 1,200, one was 17,425, and one was for 2,000. I don't have the specific details, but I can get you that before the end of the meeting. I guess I can quickly grab that information.
It would just be good to know, I mean, how one entity can get within $17,000 in rebates.
Yeah, it's an apartment building. The $17,000 one is an apartment building. So my guess is it's a collection of rebates for multiple units, but I'll confirm that here in just a few minutes.
Thank you. Other questions from directors?
That was kind of the question I had marked too, that it seems that this rebate amount, 45,000 and 45.5, it seems unusually high for a monthly rebate total. Isn't it usually like 28 or 30-ish?
Yeah, it's roughly around 30, but that 17,000 is the one that explains
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes sense, it isn't. that
Yeah.
would
So
be
if
part
we
of it.
could, yeah, so we'll just find out what happened in that case. That'd be good to know. If it's a whole building that got upgraded to more efficient toilets or something, or laundry facilities, that would be a good thing, I guess. Okay. Any comments from the public on this agenda item?
I see no raised hands, Director Paul.
So if I would then make a motion to receive this treasurer's report. Well, to recommend to the board that it receive the report.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Director Malik,
Yes.
Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Paul.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Yeah. Okay.
The next two items are just informational items. If there's any question, we can go over those.
To Director Malik, Director Anderson, do you have any questions on those informational items?
No.
I have a question. I just don't know what something stands for. On page 28, item number 40, ASR backflush basin expansion CM, what is that? CM
Construction management.
services.
Construction management services.
Aha, thanks.
And I have an answer for you on the $17,000 rebate.
Mhm.
That was approximately 230 toilets that got replaced at Del Monte Manor. So, multi-unit property.
Thank you.
And then the 4,500, they think is probably a rain cistern, but they can't confirm right now, Water Demand Division.
Okay, well, so it's good to know that multi-unit dwellings can also use this rebate program. That's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have another question on the item 30 on that same page 28. And I probably just need reminding of what this is. It's the CalAm decel structuring and financing order, and it's the contract amount's $300,000 and change. So decel structuring and financing. What are we paying for that now?
0. What page?
Page 28. It's
Page
item
28.
number 30.
It's an open PO that we still have in the system. Dave,
Okay.
we've spent
Yeah.
money on it in the past, but we haven't spent money on that. And I believe that PO, we still haven't closed it because it is a board authorized amount. And if I
Thank you.
recall, Dave and I had conversation on that. I forgot the reason why we wanted to keep it open.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, the reason we kept it open was we weren't sure if the state were, we weren't sure if the desal project was going away or staying. And then B, we weren't sure that even though they got, that CalAm got shortlisted for complete state revolving fund monies for the debt piece. During early COVID, they took some of that money away. The state did, the governor did. And so it wasn't clear they were going to get full funding, but now there's no project. So it's all just kind of in abeyance. And so what was going to happen originally is we, the district, were going to do a limited recourse public financing. And the structuring of all that had a pretty significant front end cost, which is why it was budgeted at over 300,000. But yeah, there's no movement on it at this point.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Then we can move on to the draft agenda for our the board's December 13th meeting.
Yep.
What about item number 5, Karen?
Well, it's an informational item, so if I don't have any questions about it, do you have any questions about it?
I don't.
No? Okay, Director Malik,
No.
we measure Jason. Okay, and let's go to the December 13th agenda.
Yep. So it's been updated by Joelle just a little bit since our chair vice chair meeting. But the items of importance to talk about is there is a closed session. We may have something on item B in the closed session on the LAFCO hearings, depending on what we learned this evening.
Mhm.
But the rest of it was slated so that you on the board could issue a performance evaluation of myself.
And have a conversation with you about it.
Yeah, and do a little bit of game planning about strategic planning session in January.
Yes, yeah, and how we're gonna go about that.
Yeah, and the consent calendar is pretty straightforward. Item 5 is important. Suresh is out trying to get the last signatures and legal opinions that are necessary, but I have all the confidence that it'll be ready to go next week. I will be giving a little bit of an update under item 11. There's nothing of major importance. It's just at the end of every year, we just do kind of an overview of legislative outreach. And then under the public hearings, the 3 that you see here are fairly typical. So the cleanup ordinance had its first reading. This is one that Water Demand Division is leading on. So this would be the second reading. The item 15 is just our quarterly water supply budget that John Lear does. And then Suresh will be presenting the comprehensive annual financial report. And I suspect we'll have a brief presentation by either Ray or Mike Briley of Hayashi and Whalen on that. The action,
Dave, just a correction before you go forward. So item 5 comes off. It's actually covered under item 16.
yeah, good,
And
okay.
also for item 16, the description, it reads acceptance of the audit report for fiscal year 17-18. It should be 2021.
Oh,
Okay.
just a minor detail.
Yeah, we're a little slow around here.
Okay. So the important one is not on consent, it is in the public hearings and
Yeah,
under item 16, and maybe they'll all get renumbered, right?
they will.
Yeah, okay.
And then the action items are just the business of the board, meeting schedule for next year, and election of officers. So
They say include secretary and treasurer, but does the board, do board members actually serve?
no, I'll be your secretary and Suresh will be your treasurer. But you need to appoint them every year.
Yeah, I think we forgot to do that initially last year. Okay,
We did it.
any questions about the agenda, December 13th? agenda? Or additional information you want to provide us? Okay. Then, if there's nothing more, I think we see the rest of the,
Yeah, I think we're all set.
we're set. We can set you free. I know you're very busy.
Dave, good luck. We're all rooting for you this afternoon.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's,
Director Paul, excuse me, Director Paul, I see a raised hand from an attendee.
We haven't yet adjourned, so let's invite that person to address us.
Hello, caller, ending in 754. Did you have a
Hi,
comment?
it's John Tilly. Dave, I wanted to ask if the Ordinance 152 committee would be submitting an annual report for last year. I don't think we've done that yet, and it's a requirement of the committee. I was wondering if that was going to be part of the annual report to the board. Thank you very much.
yeah, the answer to that, just for everyone's edification, is there will be a draft that goes to the committee for its meeting, I believe, in January. And then the committee will either further edit or adopt it, and then it'll go to the board in the subsequent February board meeting.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I couldn't understand what the it is. I couldn't,
Oh, annual report from the Ordinance 152 Citizens Panel.
thank you.
Okay, if there's no other, there's nothing else, I adjourn this meeting. And if you wanted to finish saying something before we all get off the Zoom, Dave, please go ahead.
No, I was just gonna remind you that LAFCO, every time a letter comes in, they get nervous again. And so with that last memorandum number 2, full of letters, there were a few things in there that they wanted to check in on, and it's just, everyone would have been benefited by having